Top 10 Amazing Science Facts. Even if you weren't someone who got excited about science class in school, now, as an adult, it's hard not to be amazed by science facts. And chances are you only know a small fraction of the interesting facts and completely weird facts that scientists have uncovered so far. So we've rounded up the top 10 lists of amazing science facts. Number 10. Humans have genes from other species. You are not fully human, at least as far as the genetic material in your cells is concerned. You, and everyone else, can carry up to 145 genes that jumped from bacteria, other protozoa, and viruses and settled in the human genome. Has become part of animal cells throughout evolutionary history, according to new research. It's actually like an Amazonian strangler fig, whose roots are all intertwined and crossed, says Alastair Crisp, a biologist at the University of Cambridge, UK, author of the new publication. Scientists knew that horizontal gene transfer, the transfer of genetic information between organisms other than heredity from parents to offspring, was common in bacteria and simple eukaryotes. This process allows organisms to rapidly share antibiotic resistance gene sets, for example, to adapt to antibiotics. However, it is debatable whether genes were horizontally transmitted to higher organisms such as primates. Similar to bacteria, it has been suggested that animal cells can incorporate foreign genetic material introduced as small pieces of DNA, or carried into the cell by viruses. It is difficult to prove that it came from another organism. Number 9. Hot water freezes faster than cold water. This may seem counterintuitive, but it's called the Mpemba effect. Things changed when a Tanzanian teenager named Erasto Mpemba realized that hot ice cream mixes freeze better than cold ones. Mpemba asked a physicist at his high school about it, and together they confirmed the existence of the effect in the lab. Scientists now believe that this is because the velocity of water particles has a particular property when it is hot. If this finding is correct, it could also be applied to everyday things like cooling electronics, according to research from the Universidad Carlos III de Madrid. When the water is initially hot, the cold water below is denser than the hot water above, so no convection occurs and the bottom begins to freeze while the top is warm. This effect, coupled with the evaporation effect, can cause hot water to freeze faster than cold water. One explanation for this effect is that hot water evaporates and loses mass as it cools. The smaller the mass, the faster the liquid cools because it gives off less heat to cool it. In that explanation, the hot water freezes first because it freezes less. Number 8. Bananas are radioactive. Bananas contain potassium, and as potassium breaks down, the yellow fruit becomes slightly radioactive. According to Dr. Joe Schwartz of McGill University, he would have to eat 10 million bananas at one time to die from banana radiation poisoning. Bananas are slightly radioactive due to their high potassium content. One of the natural isotopes, variants, of bananas is potassium-40, which is radioactive. A truckload of bananas has enough radioactivity to set off a false alarm to radiation detectors, looking for smuggled nuclear weapons. However, you cannot ingest radioactive substances by eating bananas. A typical adult contains about 140 g of potassium, of which about 16 milligrams is potassium-40, which is 280 times more radioactive than his banana. One serving of potassium-40 increases total potassium-40 by 0.4%. This can be detected with a sensitive Geiger counter. But the effect is temporary since your metabolism closely regulates the amount of potassium in your body, and you will excrete the excess within a few hours. Number 7. Rats laugh when tickled. These creatures are more dynamic than we think. Rats have the ability to laugh when tickled. A National Geographic video shows that rats respond positively to tickling, even playfully chasing researchers' hands. Laughter in general, and tickling in particular, has always been a mystery. We are not the only species to do this. Researchers have long observed the pleasure rats derive from playing with humans. Rats seem to enjoy being approached by human hands, evoking some kind of game of prey and being tickled in the tummy. In both cases, the animals appear to express joy with high-pitched vocalizations and excited jumps. These days it is known as the leap of joy. The last known as Freudensprange, which is the kind of delicious word you can go your whole life without hearing, and then, once you do hear it, can't imagine how you lived without it. Number 6. Soil is full of life. 1 teaspoon of soil contains more microbes than there are people on Earth. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, millions of species and billions of organisms, including bacteria, algae, microscopic insects, earthworms, beetles, ants, mites, and fungi, represent the largest concentration of biomass on Earth. As one of the most important global reservoirs of biodiversity, soil contains more than 25% of the world's biodiversity. Moreover, more than 40% of organisms in terrestrial ecosystems are associated with the soil during their life cycle. Healthy soil is essential for healthy plant growth, human nutrition, and water filtration. Soil is a living thing. It moves very slowly and is constantly changing and growing. Like all living things, soil breathes and needs air and water to survive. Healthy, living soil provides for our daily needs. Healthy soils also support landscapes that are more resilient to the effects of drought, floods, and fires. Soils help regulate the Earth's climate and store more carbon than all the world's forests combined. Number 5. Bats are immune to most viruses. Yes, this includes coronaviruses. Bats, of course, can catch and spread viruses, but according to research funded by the European Commission, bats have many genes responsible for antiviral activity, protecting them from danger. An exception to this is rabies, although bats occasionally contract rabies, but it rarely kills bats, according to Dr. Thomas Kepler, a professor of microbiology at Boston University. Why don't bats themselves die from these constant infections when they circulate so much between? Bats are apparently able to strike a balance between controlling viral infections and over-the-top inflammatory responses that can kill other hosts. Number 4. Animals use Earth's magnetic field for orientation. Lost land animals may never find their way home, but sea animals can. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, there is evidence that some animals, such as sea turtles and salmon, have the ability to sense the Earth's magnetic field and use that sense for navigation. Though that may sound like science fiction, are actually scientific facts, as opposed to these animal facts that are actually false. Number 3. Earth's oxygen is produced by the ocean. Have you ever stopped to suppose in which oxygen comes from? Your first concept can be a rainforest. However, here's a cool science fact for you. We can thank plant primarily based marine organisms for all that fresh air, in step with the National Oceanic Service. Plankton, seaweed, and different photosynthesizers produce extra than half of the world's oxygen. While we can also additionally understand the solution to this question, scientists nonetheless can't give an explanation for those different ocean mysteries. Number 2. A laser can get trapped in water. A cool issue called total internal reflection takes place while you factor a laser beam at a jet of flowing water. To show this phenomenon, PBS Learning Media launched a video wherein a laser is placed on one facet of a clean tank of water. When the light travels through the water, it's far slowed with the aid of using the heavier debris within inside the water, effectively trapping the laser beam within inside the water. Even because the water waft is step-by-step decreased, the laser beam stays contained in the jet, till it ultimately disappears while the water became off completely. Speaking of lasers, did you recognize that your iPhone may be hacked with a laser pointer? You do now. Number 1. The human stomach can dissolve razor blades. If you ever swallow a razor blade, don't panic. The human body is more capable than you think. Acids are ranked on a scale from 0 to 14, the lower the pH level, the stronger the acid. Human stomach acid is typically 1.0 to 2.0, meaning that it has an incredibly strong pH. In a study published in the journal Gastrointestinal Endoscopy, scientists found that the thickened back of a single-edged blade dissolved after 2 hours of immersion in stomach acid. That's all for the top 10 list this time. There are some sciences that are still a big mystery in this world, but learning new things in the world of science is very fun. Thank you for watching.